far as the team's been going, we've been doing a lot of finalization of prototyping, going on to our second, maybe even third iterations of mechanisms, going into much more finalized builds and designs.
We're at this point in the build season where there isn't that much like new concept or new development. It's just basically we just need to go in the shop and actually make the thing we've been talking about making for the past weeks or so. That's what this team is at this stage. Like everyone knows what they're supposed to make. They're just in the shop making it.
We got a shooter, and right now they're actually making the final one, which after they tested and tweaked, it's pretty good now.
The shooter team, we are working on our, must be like fourth design, third iteration, making things work the right way. Lots of interference issues. There's just so many things that the game requires this year for you to do to become a very successful robot. And in order to do all of those things, there's just a lot of moving pieces and a lot of problems to kind of overcome.
Climber is almost getting finished.
Obviously, we've just been working a ton because we're making a custom gearbox. So that just takes a ton of time to make sure everything fits perfectly together so that all the gears work and don't burn each other out. And also, we're currently working on a mechanism that will tilt our gearbox so that we can have the hook reach up, and then we'll tilt it forward so that it can connect onto the bar. That's something we've had a lot of problems trying to figure out how the math and the physics of that is going to work out, but we think we just got a breakthrough, so that's really, really good.
We have finished most of our breacher, so we're getting all those parts together. We've ordered a bunch of the drive plates.
So far we have a lot of photobots that we've been working on. These include a drive bot codenamed Clunky, a software development bot codenamed Woody, and the final bot, which we do not have a name for yet. Schedule-wise, a lot of things on Clunky are being moved to the final bot, such as the electronics and the wheels, because we just don't have enough parts. The sensor bot, Woody, would be used for software testing, and we would have a lot of sensors on that robot so we can know how our autonomous code works.
So we had a lot of scheduling issues from the very start. We were not able to get a lot of what we wanted to accomplish earlier. So what we did was we kind of shifted our schedule down, which pros and cons.
We're on schedule. We do keep changing the schedule every 2 minutes because we're trying to make sure it's the right schedule, but at the moment the team seems to be on schedule, so we're just working along now.
We were having a ton of meetings, just like systems meetings, making sure everyone knows what other teams are doing and stuff.
A lot of issues between shooter, climber, and it's coming down to just space, because we decided at the beginning of the season we wanted to do everything, meaning we could go into low bar. That limits our robot to be so high, so wide. We have overall a very dense robot. So we have a lot of geometry issues between the mechanisms, especially as things kind of move around. So maybe if you're sitting in kind of the neutral position, things fit together. It's a nice puzzle piece, it's good. But when you take one of those puzzle pieces and you rotate it 70 degrees, things don't work anymore.
One thing I did was I worked risk analysis, which is basically identifying problems or risks with the current design and figuring out how you can work to mitigate or solve them. So how we're going to make the effects of these risks as little as possible. One example, the first example that we ran into was that the shooter was conflicting with the sims, which are the motors that we use to drive our wheels. What I had to do essentially was build a decision tree that said these are the different methods we're going to take to try and mitigate this risk. And that risk analysis process is something I've repeated over the course of the week, not just with shooter but with the different mechanisms as well, because what we're finding is that a good number of issues are coming up, space considerations that are tough to predict because the mechanisms are constantly developing, constantly finding issues that they didn't anticipate, and changing it to fit those.
This week we went over sensor integration, and we went over everything our robot needs to have sensors-wise. Limit switches, magnetic reed switches, optical sensors that we could use, and IR brakes. And also, we decided sensor placements.
We have been solidifying the requirements that we presented to control systems and the various mechanisms. This morning we had a very lengthy meeting about planning into the next week and figuring out where everyone is.
This is not, time to panic, but rather to work smartly, okay?
Hi, I'm Joy. This is my third year on robotics team. I'm a senior. I am the operations captain. As an operations captain, I basically overlook the 3 sub-teams, the business, outreach, and the marketing side. So business team basically gets in contact with the sponsors and talks about how this kind of money that we get is going to be used, and set up all portions of expenditures and different kinds of things that involve money into basically a structured plan. As for the outreach side, we organize events or participate in events that we can expand our first and STEM activity message out to different people. Marketing side involves a lot of things, including the social media and websites. It kind of correlates with the outreach, except that it kind of does it in the way of virtual wise.
Outreach is very important to us at Team 2537. It's the way we give back to the community and the way we take what we've learned and spread it out. So our operations team, they do so much for us, between getting our sponsors to getting our name out there, organizing events for our team. And it's really gratifying going to some of these events and then being able to know how much you affected other people. It's really good, and they're able to get that put together.
We do let them drive the robot. I think that's fun because it's usually the smaller kids who's very interested in driving them. And the whole process is exciting, and how they actually are like so nervous at first and they start enjoying how the joysticks work. Chairman's Award is the most prestigious award of all FIRST program. It basically talks about how we improve as a team, first of all, and how we spread the FIRST message to other people, and how that affects our community. Chairman's was interesting because we had a certain deadline and we had to write everything under that deadline. So we would type in, contact all the mentors, can you edit this, what do we need more, contact other team sub-teams, like what other things you want to talk about with your sub-teams. In the end, we had to spend extra non-meeting hours outside of our actual meeting days and kind of get together and edit each other's short answer and essays. So we actually turned it on Tuesday.
We finished all the award write-ups.
A lot of the dates that we're looking at right now are tentative, but the flow of the schedule right now has me excited because it's a lot more accelerated, and it appears as if the teams are going to deliver a lot earlier than in previous years, and we'll have much more drive practice, and that makes me happy as the games happen. The people building the robot can deliver us the greatest robot on the face of the earth, but if we can't drive it, we're going to lose every match, and it's vitally important that the team understands that who the customer for the robot is.
We just need to say our design is done. We've done everything we can within the time allowed to make the best thing we could make.
We lost a week to midterms. We lost a week to Snow My God. Now we're on a major time crunch and it looks like there's going to be even more snow. So we're really pushing to make things work. And with the interference issues we were having between the mechanisms, things are kind of needing to be redesigned on the fly in order to make them commingle correctly.
We are getting to that point. It's like we could have a functioning robot within the next week and a half, which I mean we have to.
Meeting of our competition bot. That thing is gonna go on the field.